Everyone for joining us here today. So my name is Liam and I'm a consultant at the Audience Agency. For the benefit of audio description, I have red hair, red beard and glasses. And today I'm going to talk about digitally democratizing archives, which is a project the Audience Agency ran between July 2021 and March this year in 2022. And digitally democratizing archives was supported by the DCMS and the National Lottery Heritage Fund as part of their Digital Skills for Heritage initiative. We also worked with a fantastic steering group who were instrumental in co-designing the project with us and had a huge influence on the overall direction we took. The reason why we decided to deliver digitally democratizing archives in the first place was to, in short, ask how or even if digital technology can successfully bring communities and archives closer together. The centerpiece of our entire work were 10 action research projects. These 10 projects were selected through an open call that was launched in July last year. The open call asks for projects that demonstrate how digital technology can enrich and widen engagement with archive collections. We were really keen from the beginning that this project reached diverse groups, and we didn't want lots of the same types of organisation applying. So the way in which we intended to reach as many different groups as possible was through a strategic communication approach. We were incredibly fortunate to be working with lots of partners who were able to share the opportunity widely. We also benefited from cross-sharing with other projects that were being supported by the Digital Skills for Heritage programme. Ultimately, we ended up with 76 applications, and our steering group had the task of shortlisting this down to just 10 projects. I'm going to briefly now run through the 10 projects we've been working with, and then we'll go into a bit more detail about just one of those. So first of all, we had LGBT+ Oral Histories Digital Archive. And they were creating a digital accessible archive of LGBT+ oral histories focused on community empowerment and queer activism in Greater Manchester and beyond. Then in London, we had Mapping Migration, Jewish Temporary Shelter Cards by the Jewish Museum, and they used georeferencing technologies to present information and stories gathered from newly digitized Jewish Temporary Shelter Cards. Next up, we had Places Never Seen, a youth-led digital exploration of the 1911 Festival of Empire by South London Gallery. Here, young people from diverse communities examined an example of local colonial history and developed digital outputs through Wikimedia. Then in my hometown, we had podcasts celebrating Bearwood women, and this was by Bearwood Community Hub. Here they were upskilling women from diverse backgrounds to build a contemporary archive in a local community hub. Way up north then, we had Preserving Cramlington Camera Club's Digital Archive by Northumberland County Council, and they worked with local youth groups to build contemporary collections of artefacts from Cramlington Camera Club in a former mining town. Back down to London, and we had Silverwood Video Archive Project. They worked with communities from the Silverwood estate in a participatory editing process to draw out stories from archival films made in the local area. Then Stories from a Treasure by Kazetna. They operated nationwide to build a podcast and translation service that built awareness and connections with the Syrian diaspora living in the UK. Tag L8 by Cinema Nation CIC. They created an interactive online platform that held community archive material from intersectional and underrepresented groups in the Liverpool L8 area. We'll hear a bit more about this project shortly, and that's the East Riding Blockdown Contemporary Collecting in Minecraft. And this project was led on by East Riding Archives in Yorkshire. They worked with young people aged 11 to 16 to collect COVID-19 experiences via reconstruction of the treasure house in Minecraft to house a new online archiverse. And then finally, we had Women in Lockdown by Sheffield Feminist Archive. They built an open access digital archive that documented women's experiences of the pandemic. So those are the 10 projects, and what I'd like to do now is show you a short pre-recorded tour of one of our projects. This video was prepared by Hannah Stamp, the project lead for East Riding Archives. I'm going to stop sharing my presentation now and start sharing the film. It is around 7.5 minutes long, and then I'll share some brief reflections afterwards.
I'm Hannah Stamp, an archivist at the East Riding Archives, and today I'm going to talk about our project, the East Riding Blockdown, and how we've used video game Minecraft to capture contemporary experiences of the pandemic and also introduce young people to archives. As the County Record Office for the East Riding of Yorkshire, we hold over 800 years of documented East Riding history in our archive at the Treasure House in Beverley. When it comes to the voices of young people, we hold lots of records about them, but yet there are no records created by young people. So young people are our future service users, and we want to inspire them with this project. So we are currently working on a large contemporary collecting project looking to capture and preserve the COVID-19 experiences of East Riding people. But before the Blockdown project, the youth voice remained uncaptured. So as an alternative to oral histories, we thought we could use Minecraft as a creative and storytelling medium with which to capture written and built creations on the theme of lockdown. Minecraft is currently the world's best-selling video game, available across multiple platforms, and it's very familiar to our target audience. The gameplay is like digital Lego, where you can build freely and creatively. You can also explore virtual worlds as a lone adventurer or in multiplayer with friends. The game facilitates collaboration, creation, and digital storytelling. Its world-building features have allowed us to create the central learning and engagement space of the project, which we have called the Archiverse. So let's take a tour. Welcome to the Archiverse, a growing world created for young people to explore and to craft their stories that will transcend through time. At the centre of the Archiverse is a reconstruction of the Treasure House, the home of the East Riding Archives. Never visited an archive before? Don't worry, explore and meet the team. You can speak to the archivists, our conservator, archive assistants, and even researchers to learn all about the archives and gain advice on how to complete your history-making task. Come and explore behind the scenes, including the strong rooms where we hold over 800 years of East Riding history. There's also the blast freezer and the quarantine room. Or why not take a minecart ride through our machinery room or up and down the tower? Visit our research room and take a book and quill item from the archive box or from our friendly archive assistant at the desk. In your book item, you can write about your lockdown experiences, and these will be preserved in both the Archiverse and the real world archives for others to read and learn from. Stuck for ideas on what to write? Have a look at our participants' contributions on display to learn about how others experience lockdown. Each of these written records are personal experiences of the pandemic, and many of them talk about their feelings, their family life, activities, and their experiences of homeschooling. As the Archiverse world grows with stories, researchers of the future can build a bigger picture of what life was like during the COVID-19 pandemic for young people in the East Riding. If you head outside to the back of the Treasure House, you will find the build zone. Here you can see our participants' built contributions, with each model representing a young person's experience of lockdown. Some key themes include home, education, exercise, and local places. There's also technology and digital communications, and also politics and health topics. Just like the written records, images of these models will also be preserved in the real-world archives for future generations. So back to the real world. For us at the Archives, the Archiverse is a platform to create content for contemporary collecting, but it also functions to help people understand and share their stories with each other. The project has been very popular, with over 50 young people being involved, aged between 5 and 15. There are 3 methods of taking part, with all methods requiring a parent or guardian to complete a consent form downloaded from the project website. Consent is crucial because of us working with under 16s, and also to gain permission for us to archive and make their contributions publicly accessible. We maintain an online multiplayer server for gamers wanting to play remotely from home. Over half-term, we were busy delivering face-to-face sessions at local libraries and at the archives. Participants would explore our Archiverse world and craft their contribution for the collections. They would also see, learn, and be inspired by what others have created. Our school workshop enabled a class to work together in the Archiverse in multiplayer, and each participant created a written and built piece for the archives. This is what the session looked like in the Archiverse world. The whole class working together, and we even got to try out a fun, interactive way of evaluating the session by standing next to a number to rate the experience. In terms of long-term public access to these creations, our online catalogue allows researchers to browse a database of everything we hold. This project is catalogued under the collection reference ERBP. Each participant has a unique record, which tells us some information about their project contributions. And our digital repository enables researchers to view the archived images themselves from anywhere on any device. There were lots of organisational challenges, which is a normal process in local authority. All aspects were scrutinised to ensure that legal compliance, network safety and safeguarding measures were in place. And when it comes to working with technology, just make sure you have friends in IT and anticipate the unpredictable. To create our Archiverse, we had to make sure it was a safe environment for our participants. We also had to create a learning platform using a customised world. And then once people start adding to the world with their creations, we then have to manage world versions after each session. Speaking of unpredictable IT, this is what our online server looked like the first time I logged in. A scene out of a horror film with monsters surrounding the building, ready to vandalise it. I had to quickly figure out where to find the server's disabled mob setting before any further destruction occurred. To have over 50 young people engage with archives for the first time so enthusiastically was fantastic for us to see. From our feedback, they loved that their voice was being added to real history and being able to learn about archives in what they describe as a cool, fun way. So keep an eye out on our website for future developments. And thank you to the Audience Agency for making this happen.
So that was just one of 10 of the action research projects that we got to hear from today. I'm just going to share my PowerPoint presentation again. And what I want to do now is to paraphrase a few reflections, some reflections that were originally devised by my colleague, Nikki Hatton. All of these projects were run in collaboration, and across all projects, we had 42 other organizations that were working in collaboration. And this resulted in a total of 246 participants overall across the program, which exceeded our original target of just 150 participants. So we were very pleased about that. The diversity of participants and the geographic spread of the projects was a real success of the program. There was representation from young people, from intergenerational communities, also from LGBTQ+ communities, refugee and migrant groups, also women affected by the pandemic, and people with intersections of lived experience. So we're really, really pleased about this in terms of reach, but the evaluation also taught us that there's still work to be done to broaden and deepen that engagement and to address the different barriers that people experience in engaging with archives. One really important thing that we learned is that this project needs, the projects that we worked with, I should say, needed lots of time to build trust and relationships with their community and to find the best way of working with them. This was particularly the case for those working with people who were sharing difficult or sensitive stories, or participants who have perhaps experienced trauma and needed time to feel ready to share their stories. With regards to digital insights in the programme, digital upskilling of organisations and participants was one of the most significant outcomes of this programme. 90% of project leads said that they had developed new digital skills as a result of delivering their action research project, and they felt they could use the skills elsewhere within their role or within their organisation. 80% felt that their organisation had seen its digital capabilities improve. Some examples include developing digital workflows, new digital communication approaches, upgrading software, and also general digital skills such as creating a website, managing volunteers online, and becoming more confident with using different platforms. The project leads also developed some digital skills themselves that were specific to archiving, and these included the use of digital cataloging within archive services, using things like Preservicon, and using transcription software such as Otter AI and Audiogram. And the project level evaluations told us that a broad range of digital skills were also developed by participants, and this included using new digital platforms to collaborate, using specialist software to access or engage with archives, and using new digital equipment such as digital cameras. So the results of this in terms of outputs were that we have at least 22 new digital outputs, which are continually growing, and these have been created as a result of this program. These include 7 new digital community archives, several Wikipedia pages edited and updated, 2 new digital collections for county archives, and 2 digital service recipes. But overall, we've learned that there's a huge appetite for this sort of work. Digital approaches enabled our projects to increase their reach as a more accessible method of participation for a lot of their participants. This included, for example, people with care responsibilities who wouldn't have otherwise been able to attend a workshop, and communities without a physical space to meet. For some projects, a face-to-face approach was necessary in order to reach their participants, and this included projects who were working with sensitive life story material, for whom conference calling just simply wasn't appropriate. And those training participants in digital skills also found it beneficial because of differing levels of digital confidence and access to digital devices. The programme highlighted that the digital divide is not just about access to the internet and devices, but also about digital confidence, access to up-to-date devices, which in turn supports communication software. So there's definitely some work to be done to understand barriers for different community groups and to help them engage digitally with heritage. So finally, to deliver a short answer to the central question, yes, digital absolutely can be used to bring communities and archives close together. We've learned that it can widen access and participation, but that it also depends very much on the needs of that community and the nature of the digital activities as well. Ultimately, a flexible approach is required, tailored around the needs of those individual communities.